Earth was shunned by the galaxy. Humanity walked away unbothered. Ethan Cole sat in the control room on the moon station, staring at the holographic display that floated in front of him. The display showed messages from the Galactic Conquered, a network of alien civilizations that had once welcomed humans, at least in theory. The messages were polite, formal, and sharp at the same time. They said that Earth was no longer allowed to be a part of the Council, that human colonies would lose access to shared research, and that human ships would not be allowed to use certain travel corridors. Ethan rubbed his eyes. The words sank in slowly, like ice water spreading through his veins. Next to him, Maya Brooks, his friend and fellow officer, stood silently, her arms crossed. She did not look worried, at least not outwardly, but Ethan could see the tension in her shoulders. "They think we'll beg," Ethan muttered, finally breaking the silence. Maya shook her head. "No," she said quietly. "They think we'll panic. They don't understand humans. We won't." Ethan leaned back in his chair. "It's not just that. They've been working with us for years, building networks, trade routes, research projects. And now they just ignore us." The Conquered had once been a place where humans thought they could belong. Humans had traveled to distant planets, shared ideas, traded technology, and even sent their artists and musicians to participate in cultural exchanges. Ethan remembered watching videos of concerts on Proxima Centauri b, where human music was played alongside alien instruments. He remembered engineers like Noah Bennett designing systems that integrated human technology into alien infrastructure. But all that work did not matter anymore. Humanity had been judged incompatible. It was not about wars or theft or crime. The Conquered called it cultural incompatibility. The words were calm, almost gentle, but they carried the weight of exile. Ethan stood and walked to the observation window that looked down on the pale surface of the moon. He could see the Earth in the distance, blue and white and calm. From space, it seemed like nothing had changed. The ocean still glimmered. Clouds drifted over forests and deserts. Humans were still alive, still building, still exploring. Maya came up beside him. "Look at it," she said. "They think this planet is dangerous or too messy or too loud, but it doesn't matter what they think. We can still live. We can still grow." Ethan nodded, but he felt a pang of frustration. The Conquered had been helpful in many ways. They had given humans access to resources beyond their solar system. They had offered guidance for interstellar travel, helped with planetary defense systems, and introduced alien technology that humans could adapt. And now, it was all gone. Back on Earth, President Olivia Grant called an emergency meeting with the leaders of human colonies. They gathered in a secure chamber on Mars, where the view of the red deserts outside contrasted sharply with the bright blue Earth in the sky above. Governors, scientists, and military advisors filled the room. Among them were Dr. Liam Carter, head of interstellar infrastructure, and Governor Ava Morgan of the Pacifica Territory. "This is not a threat," Liam said, trying to keep his voice steady. "They are not attacking. They are simply cutting us off. They are saying, 'You do not belong here.'" Governor Morgan frowned. "Do we respond? Do we protest? Send diplomats?" Olivia shook her head. "No, we will not plead, we will not fight, we will not ask for forgiveness. The galaxy made its choice. We will make ours." The room was silent. Some of the advisors looked confused, some looked angry, some looked frightened. But Olivia's expression remained calm, almost serene. She had always believed that humans were strong, resilient, and resourceful. This was a test, she thought, and humans had always found a way to pass tests. "We will focus on ourselves," she continued. "We will phase out all dependencies on the Conquered within 5 years. Every colony, every research station, every ship will become self-reliant. If they want distance, we will give it. If they think they can push us aside, we will walk away unbothered." The words sounded simple, but they carried power. For centuries, humans had wanted approval from the greater galaxy. Now they were choosing to walk away from it entirely. Meanwhile, on the moon station, Ethan and Maya began preparing for a new phase of human independence. Engineers worked to redesign communication systems that no longer relied on Conquered satellites. Scientists experimented with propulsion systems that did not require alien relays. Every task was carefully planned, every step calculated to ensure that humans could thrive alone. Noah Bennett, an engineer who had helped maintain interstellar jump relays for decades, shook his head as he walked through the control chamber. "They never understood how much of their network runs on our math," he muttered. His voice was quiet, but the frustration was clear. He had spent years building algorithms and routines that allowed conquered ships to navigate safely, and now it would all be repurposed for humans alone. "It's time," Maya said. "We've been working toward this without even knowing it. Now we finally have the freedom to do it our way." The first step was shutting down the shared jump relays. For decades, human engineers had kept the Concorde's travel network functional. Ships used these relays to travel faster than light, jumping from system to system with the guidance of alien infrastructure. But humans no longer needed permission or guidance. They had the knowledge, they had the skill, and they had the will to act on their own. Ethan watched the first relay go offline. The control panels blinked red, signaling that human ships were now operating independently. A small cheer broke out among the engineers. It was not loud or boisterous. It was quiet, satisfied, almost private. As the months passed, Earth's colonies adapted quickly. Scientists on Luna tested new fold drives that bent local spacetime using quantum anchors derived from dark matter mapping. These drives did not rely on alien relays or conquered technology. They were entirely human-made, designed for human needs. Dr. Grace Allen, leading the propulsion team, smiled as the first successful test completed. "It works," she said. "Completely on our own, no approvals needed, no restrictions." In Colorado, farmers planted crops that had once been rejected by conquered environmental boards. They experimented with seeds modified to resist alien pathogens and extreme climates. Miners on Luna and Mars expanded helium-3 production without quotas, powering cities and stations across human territory. Industries thrived, economies grew, and human society moved forward. All the while, the galaxy expected humans to stumble. The Conquered had predicted economic collapse, political chaos, and technological failure. But humanity had learned to adapt. Humans thrived when pushed to the edge, and isolation from the galaxy was simply another challenge to overcome. 5 years after the initial rejection, the last human ambassador quietly left Conquered space. There were no protests, no angry broadcasts, no last-minute attempts to negotiate. Humanity simply walked away. On Earth, Ethan watched the stars from the moon station. Ships passed through fold corridors that humans had constructed on their own. Trade routes had been redirected. Colonies were self-sufficient. Communication was secure and independent. Maya joined him at the observation deck. "They thought they could teach us lessons," she said. "But we didn't need them, we never did," Ethan nodded. "We've built everything ourselves, they didn't see that coming, and they never will." The pale blue earth turned slowly beneath them. It looked peaceful, but Ethan knew the truth. Humans were growing stronger every day. They were not angry, they were not scared. They were simply moving forward quietly and steadily, building a future that belonged entirely to themselves. Across the colonies, children learned human history, human engineering, human art, and human science. They learned about the galaxy too, but only as observers, not participants. Humanity no longer needed approval from others to exist or to grow. They had their own stars, their own paths, and their own power. Even though the Conquered had shunned them, humans did not falter. They had found freedom in the isolation. Every new technology tested, every colony expanded, and every ship launched was a declaration. Humanity would continue, unbothered by the galaxy's judgment. By the end of the first year, Earth had completed the initial phase of independence. Communication networks were fully human, propulsion systems were tested and ready, and resources were managed efficiently across all colonies. The planet itself had become the center of a quiet revolution. Humans no longer relied on alien approval or external infrastructure. Ethan and Maya stood together once more, watching ships leave the moon station for distant colonies. They were the beginning of something new, something the galaxy would notice only when it was too late to influence. "They'll realize eventually," Ethan said. Maya smiled faintly. "Maybe, or maybe they'll never see it coming. Either way, it doesn't matter. We're fine without them." And for the first time in centuries, humans were truly free. They had been shunned by the galaxy, but they had not faltered. Instead, they had walked away unbothered, ready to face the stars on their own terms. After the decision was made to walk away from the Galactic Conquered, humans moved quickly. They did not wait for the galaxy to change its mind or come back with offers of compromise. Every colony, station, and ship started planning for independence. The first major task was to remove all dependence on the Concord's jump relays and travel networks. Noah Bennett, the engineer who had helped maintain those relays for decades, stood in the control chamber above Saturn. The room hummed with energy as lights and panels blinked across the walls. Ships passed by in the distance, their hulls reflecting the soft glow of Saturn's rings. Noah rubbed his hands together. "This is it," he said quietly to himself. "We've spent years keeping their system running, now we take it apart." Ethan Cole and Maya Brooks joined him, reviewing the deactivation sequence. It had to be done carefully. One mistake could cause ships to misjump or become stranded in uncharted space. Every line of code was checked and double-checked. "Ready?" Maya asked. Noah nodded. "Ready." They pressed the final command. The human-coded subroutines controlling the jump relays began to shut down one by one. Lights turned from green to red, signaling that the system was offline. Ships that relied on those relays would now have to navigate entirely on human systems, designed with new algorithms and fold drives. No one cheered loudly. There was no celebration. Instead, there was quiet satisfaction. Humanity had always been resourceful. They had faced challenges before, and they would face this one too. Back on Earth, Dr. Grace Allen and her team worked tirelessly on the fold drives. These new propulsion systems could bend local spacetime and allow ships to travel faster than light without relying on Concorde beacons or navigation networks. Every successful test brought confidence to the engineers and scientists. "It works perfectly," Grace said, smiling as the ship returned safely from its first long-range test. "Completely human-made, completely independent." The news traveled quickly across human colonies. People were excited, but they did not act as if they were proving something to the galaxy. Humans had learned long ago that they did not need validation. They had only to survive, to grow, and to expand on their own terms. In Colorado, farmers planted new crops. Seeds that had been rejected by Concorde environmental boards were now used to grow plants resistant to disease, drought, and alien pathogens. Miners on Luna and Mars expanded helium-3 production without worrying about export quotas. They built infrastructure, launched research programs, and developed energy systems that no longer required alien oversight. Children in human colonies learned about Earth's history, human culture, and human science. They learned about the galaxy too, but only as observers, not as participants. The message was clear. Humans were not leaving the galaxy entirely, but they would choose when and how to interact. Captain Daniel Ross oversaw the first fleet to test human-only navigation corridors. His flagship, Horizon's Edge, led several smaller vessels into uncharted space. Systems officer Lily Turner monitored the energy reserves, ensuring that every ship could complete the journey without relying on external help. "Long-range scans show no Concorde activity within 50 light-years," Lily reported. "Good," Daniel replied. "We want it that way, let's keep moving quietly." The fleet moved through fold corridors constructed by human engineers, bypassing the old trade highways and avoiding Concorde-monitored space. Every ship was equipped with advanced communication systems that used quantum entanglement arrays, allowing instantaneous coordination without alien infrastructure. On Luna, Ethan and Maya continued their work in research and coordination. They managed communications between colonies and ships, ensuring that everyone had the information they needed to operate independently. Maya smiled as she watched the fleet's progress on the holographic display. "They thought we would fail without them," she said. "But we are stronger than they imagined," Ethan nodded. "They underestimated us. That has always been their mistake." Noah joined them with a report. "The first phase of independence is complete. The relays are fully offline. All human ships now navigate on our systems alone." "Perfect," Ethan said. "Now we move to the next step." The next step was expansion. Humanity had no intention of staying close to the solar system. They had learned to move beyond the galaxy's influence to find places where they could build new worlds and new colonies. They began charting systems previously unexplored, targeting planets that could support human life. Colonies on Mars, Luna, and other human-controlled systems prepared ships and equipment for these journeys. Supplies, food, and equipment were carefully calculated to ensure sustainability. Every detail was planned. Humans did not leave anything to chance. Captain Daniel Ross led the first expedition to the TRAPPIST-1 system, a cluster of 7 planets orbiting a distant star. The mission was not about impressing the galaxy. It was about survival, growth, and proving to themselves that humans could thrive anywhere. The journey took months. Ships passed through dark corridors, navigating using the new fold drives. The crew faced unexpected gravitational anomalies, asteroid clusters, and solar storms, but every challenge was met with human ingenuity. Engineers adapted, scientists calculated, and the fleet continued forward. Back on Earth, leaders monitored the progress of the fleet. President Olivia Grant spoke to governors and advisors, encouraging calm and patience. "We do not act for recognition," she said. "We act because it is necessary. We act because it is right for us. We do not need approval from others to succeed." Governor Ava Morgan nodded. "We have all grown used to being independent in our colonies. Now the rest of humanity will experience it fully." As the fleet reached the TRAPPIST-1 system, they began mapping planets, studying atmospheres, and evaluating the potential for settlements. Every planet was carefully examined before colonists were sent. Humans would not take unnecessary risks. Every decision was calculated to ensure long-term survival. Meanwhile, trade and communication between human colonies expanded. Though the galaxy had shunned them, humans had found ways to maintain contact, share resources, and develop new technologies. Communities grew stronger, more resilient, and more independent every day. Noah Bennett visited several colonies to oversee engineering projects. He watched as human engineers developed energy grids, terraforming equipment, and sustainable habitats. Every system was fully controlled by humans. No conquered input was required. Ethan and Maya continued to coordinate between Earth, Mars, Luna, and the new colonies. They ensured that supplies were delivered efficiently, that communications were secure, and that research and technology development remained on track. Every challenge was met with calm determination. On the newly established colonies in the TRAPPIST-1 system, settlers began adapting to alien environments. They built habitats, grew food, and explored the planets. Children learned quickly, adapting to new challenges with the same resilience their parents had shown. Captain Daniel Ross led expeditions to survey alien terrains. He and his crew discovered new minerals, unique plants, and previously unknown forms of life. These discoveries were carefully documented, but humans did not broadcast their findings to the conquered. There was no need to seek approval or recognition. They explored for themselves, not for anyone else. Back on Luna, Ethan looked at the progress charts. "In 10 years, humans will no longer rely on any conquered systems," he said. "We will be entirely independent. Completely free to build our future as we choose." Maya smiled. "And we will do it quietly. We do not need the galaxy's attention. Let them notice when they see our colonies thriving." The galaxy, meanwhile, was beginning to feel the effects of human withdrawal. Conquered fleets experienced delays and shortages. Systems that had relied on human engineers faltered. Plans that had been simple with human support became difficult without it, but humans did not intervene. They let the galaxy deal with the consequences while they focused on their own growth. In the following years, humans continued to expand. Colonies multiplied in the TRAPPIST-1 system and beyond. Ships tested new routes and new drives. Engineers developed faster and more efficient systems. Scientists experimented with energy sources, materials, and technology without restriction. Children on these colonies learned from the start to solve problems independently. They were taught the value of resourcefulness, creativity, and resilience. They were humans in every sense, adaptable, clever, and determined. Ethan and Maya watched as ships left for new colonies. "It is strange," Ethan said. "We have left the galaxy behind, but we are moving faster than ever. We are creating something they cannot control or understand." Maya nodded. "Exactly, and that is the point. We do not need their approval. We never did." As the years passed, the first wave of independent human colonies became fully self-sufficient. Earth, Luna, Mars, and TRAPPIST-1 colonies shared resources and technology. Communication was instant through quantum networks. Travel was efficient using human fold drives. Humans had achieved a level of independence that the galaxy had never anticipated. The galaxy had shunned them, expecting chaos, collapse, and failure. Instead, humanity had grown stronger, smarter, and more capable than ever before. Captain Daniel Ross sent a message back to Earth from the TRAPPIST-1 colonies. All systems are operational. Colonies are thriving. Expansion continues without interruption. Humans do not need the conquered to survive. Ethan read the message and smiled. Maya stood beside him, watching the same holographic display. "They will see eventually," she said. "Not now, not soon, but they will see what humans can do." Noah Bennett joined them with a report from Luna. All fold drives are operational across colonies. Ships are navigating safely. Energy systems are stable. Humans are stronger than ever. Ethan nodded. "And we are only getting started. The galaxy thought it had control. The galaxy thought it could push us aside. They were wrong, completely wrong." By the end of the decade, humans had fully completed the second phase of their independence. Every colony, every ship, and every system operated without reliance on the conquered. Expansion continued into uncharted systems. Humans had grown beyond the need for approval or oversight, and yet they did it quietly. There were no broadcasts to alien worlds, no declarations of triumph, no gloating. Humanity did not need to show off. They had discovered something more valuable than recognition: freedom. Ethan looked at the stars from Luna. Ships moved between colonies, carrying people, technology, and supplies. Humans had learned to thrive alone. They were not angry. They were not bitter. They were focused on growth, on exploration, and on building a future that belonged to them. Maya stood beside him, her eyes reflecting the light of distant stars. "We are walking away," she said. "And the galaxy will have no choice but to notice when we are already beyond their reach." Ethan smiled. "Unbothered, that is how it should be." And with that, humanity continued its quiet expansion, stronger, freer, and wiser than ever before. The galaxy had shunned them, but humans did not falter. They did not complain. They did not beg. They walked away, unbothered, toward a future entirely of their own making. Captain Daniel Ross stood on the bridge of Horizon's edge, looking out at the dark expanse of space. The stars stretched endlessly, distant points of light in a black sea. The TRAPPIST-1 colonies were behind them now, and the fleet was moving toward systems even further away. Humans no longer followed the old trade highways used by the Galactic conquered. Every route had been planned using human calculations, human navigation systems, and human ingenuity. Lily Turner, the systems officer, monitored the fleet's energy grids and fold drives. "All systems are stable," she reported. "Navigation is smooth." "No anomalies detected along the path," Daniel nodded. "Good, keep monitoring. This is uncharted space. Anything can happen." The fleet moved silently, almost like shadows between the stars. They were small, careful, and deliberate. Humans had learned to travel quietly. They did not need recognition. They did not need applause. They needed only to survive, to explore, and to grow. On Earth, Ethan Cole and Maya Brooks watched the fleet's progress through their monitoring systems. The display showed multiple colonies sending reports and data back through quantum networks. Humans had built these networks entirely on their own. Messages traveled instantly between systems, without using alien relays or conquered satellites. "They will not see this coming," Maya said. "Not now, not soon." Ethan nodded. "And by the time they do, it will not matter. We will be beyond their reach." The first wave of independent human explorers reached a small system of planets orbiting a red dwarf star. They scanned the planets carefully, looking at atmospheres, gravity, water presence, and surface conditions. Human scientists worked alongside the explorers to decide which planets were suitable for colonization. Captain Daniel led the first landing party on the largest planet. The ground was rocky, with a thin atmosphere but breathable after filtration. Small plants grew near the equator. Rivers of liquid flowed slowly across the surface. The explorers set up temporary habitats and began conducting tests for long-term colonization. "This planet is promising," Daniel said. "We can build here, we can thrive here. The conquered never expected humans to reach this far without their help." On Luna, Ethan and Maya coordinated the next fleet's launch. The new ships carried equipment, food, and colonists. Families volunteered for the journey, knowing that humans were building a future away from the galaxy's rules. Engineers, scientists, farmers, and children prepared for life on distant worlds. Noah Bennett worked with the engineers to ensure that every ship's fold drive was operational. "We've come a long way," he said quietly. "From relying on their systems to traveling on our own, we've proven ourselves." Maya smiled. "And we are just beginning." There are so many stars out there, so many worlds waiting for us. Captain Daniel's fleet continued to explore further systems. They discovered planets with water, planets with mineral resources, and even planets with strange alien life forms. Every discovery was carefully recorded. Humans did not send messages to the conquered. They did not need approval. They explored for themselves, not for anyone else. Children born on the new colonies adapted quickly. They learned human history, technology, and culture. They learned about the galaxy, but only as observers, not participants. Independence and self-reliance were part of their education from the start. In the TRAPPIST-1 colonies, life was growing. Habitats expanded, food production increased, and energy systems stabilized. Humans had created a network of colonies that shared resources efficiently. They no longer relied on the old galaxy for anything. Captain Daniel sent a message back to Earth. All colonies are stable. New systems are being explored. Humans are fully self-reliant. Ethan read the message and nodded. This is progress, quiet, steady, and unstoppable. Maya looked at him. We are building something the galaxy never expected. They thought we would fail without them. They were wrong, completely wrong. The galaxy, meanwhile, began to notice human absence. Conquered fleets reported delays and failures in systems that had relied on human engineers. Trade routes faltered. Supply lines broke. Planets that had counted on human-designed reactors and energy systems struggled to maintain stability. But humans did not intervene. They watched, learned, and continued to grow. They did not gloat. They did not act out of anger. They focused on their own future. Captain Daniel's fleet discovered a planet with a thick atmosphere and large oceans. The planet's gravity was slightly lower than Earth's, but human engineers quickly adapted habitats and technology to make it suitable for life. Colonists began building permanent settlements. Fields were planted, water was purified, energy systems were installed. This is another success, Daniel said. Another world for humans, another place where we can thrive without needing approval from anyone else. On Earth, Ethan and Maya continued to manage communications. Reports from the colonies showed that humans were learning to adapt faster than expected. Technology improved, agriculture advanced, habitats grew stronger. Every challenge was met with calm determination. Noah Bennett visited the new colonies to check on engineering projects. He saw children learning to maintain energy grids, scientists testing new crops, and engineers building habitats. Everything was human-made, human-controlled, and fully independent. This is remarkable, he said quietly. We have built a network of colonies that does not rely on the galaxy at all. Ethan nodded. And we will continue. We will not stop. There are so many stars waiting for us, so many worlds. Captain Daniel's fleet encountered strange phenomena in deep space. Gravity anomalies, asteroid fields, and energy storms challenged their navigation systems. Every challenge was met with human problem-solving. Engineers calculated new routes. Scientists measured and predicted environmental hazards. Every obstacle was overcome without outside help. On Earth, President Olivia Grant monitored the reports. Humans are proving themselves in ways the galaxy did not expect, she said. We do not need the conquered. We do not need approval. We only need ourselves. Governor Ava Morgan agreed. This is a new era. Humans are free to grow, to explore, and to build. We do not answer to anyone but ourselves. In the colonies, people worked together quietly. They were not trying to impress anyone. They were simply living, learning, and growing. Children adapted quickly to alien environments, learning to survive in ways their parents had never imagined. Captain Daniel Ross led another expedition to an uncharted system. They discovered a planet with a breathable atmosphere and fertile soil. Scientists began testing crops. Engineers began building habitats. Colonists prepared to settle permanently. This is what independence looks like, Daniel said. No interference, no approval needed, just humans building a future on our own terms. Back on Earth, Ethan and Maya watched the progress of the colonies. Quantum networks allowed instant communication across vast distances. Resources were shared efficiently. Ships traveled safely through fold drives. Humans were no longer bound by the rules of the Galactic conquered. Noah Bennett reported from Luna. All systems are functioning perfectly. The colonies are self-reliant. Humans are stronger than ever, Maya smiled. And we are only getting started. There are still countless worlds to explore. The galaxy began to understand that humans were not dependent. Conquered leaders realized that systems they had counted on humans to maintain were failing. They did not understand how humans had built entirely independent networks. But humans did not respond. They continued their quiet expansion. Every new colony, every new ship, every new discovery was a step toward a future humans controlled entirely. Captain Daniel Ross surveyed the fleet. "We are exploring, expanding, and thriving. We do not need anyone's permission. We do not need approval. We are humans, and this is what we do." In the colonies, people continued to build. Habitats grew. Agriculture thrived. Technology advanced. Humans adapted to every challenge, every new world, every obstacle. Ethan looked at the stars from the moon station. "We have walked away," he said, "and the galaxy will see only when it is too late." Maya joined him. "Unbothered," she said. "That is how humans survive, that is how humans grow, that is how humans thrive." Captain Daniel Ross led another fleet into deep space, discovering planets rich in resources, suitable for life, and far from the reach of the conquered. Every expedition proved the same truth. Humans were strong, adaptable, and capable of thriving entirely on their own. Back on Earth, Olivia Grant and her council monitored the progress. Humans were not just surviving, they were growing stronger. Each colony became a model of independence. Technology advanced rapidly. Life continued to expand in ways the conquered could not predict. Noah Bennett visited the new planets, observing the progress. Children adapted to life on alien worlds, learning survival skills and technical knowledge. Engineers improved systems, scientists conducted research, and families built communities. Humans had created a network of independent colonies stronger than any conquered system. Captain Daniel Ross sent a report back to Earth. "Humans are thriving in every new system. Exploration continues. Independence is complete. We do not need the galaxy to survive." Ethan read the report and smiled. Maya stood beside him. "We have built something no one expected. We have walked away, and yet we have grown beyond anything the galaxy imagined." The stars stretched endlessly before them. Humans had reached farther than anyone had thought possible. They had discovered new worlds, built colonies, and created a future entirely their own. They had been shunned by the galaxy, but they did not falter. They did not beg. They did not complain. They did not wait. They walked away, unbothered, toward a future that belonged only to them. And humanity continued, quietly, steadily, and stronger than ever before. Captain Daniel Ross stood on the bridge of Horizon's edge, looking at the dark stars ahead. The fleet had traveled farther than any human had before. Systems beyond the known galaxy stretched out, full of possibilities and dangers. Humans no longer needed the Galactic conquered. They had built colonies, technology, and fleets all on their own. Lily Turner monitored the fold drives. "All ships are stable," she said. "Energy reserves are full. Navigation is smooth." Daniel nodded. "Good, keep monitoring. We are moving into territory the conquered will never expect us to reach." Back on Earth, President Olivia Grant watched reports from colonies across multiple star systems. Humans had established permanent settlements in several uncharted systems. Resources were abundant, technology was advancing rapidly, and every colony was fully independent. Governor Ava Morgan stood beside her. "They thought we would fail," she said. "They thought isolation would break us. They were wrong, completely wrong." Olivia nodded. "And soon they will see it, not as a threat, but as a reality. Humans do not need approval. Humans do not need permission. Humans grow on their own terms." For decades, the galaxy had assumed that humans would falter without the conquered. Conquered fleets reported shortages, technical failures, and delays. Systems that had relied on human engineers and guidance struggled to function. The galaxy sent envoys to Earth, hoping for negotiations. They expected humans to beg, to plead, to return. They were mistaken. Ethan Cole and Maya Brooks coordinated the response. They reviewed the messages from the conquered. The language was polite, almost fearful, but humans would not respond with subservience. Instead, they focused on preparation. "We will not beg," Maya said. "We will show them our strength quietly." Ethan nodded. "Let them come if they want. We are ready." Captain Daniel's fleet moved toward the outer rim, a region where conquered fleets had rarely traveled. Humans were no longer hidden, but they did not advertise their presence. Every ship carried the latest fold drives, energy weapons, and independent navigation systems. Humans had adapted, learned, and grown far beyond the expectations of any alien civilization. On one of the newly colonized planets, families worked to expand their habitats. Children learned quickly, adapting to alien conditions. Scientists discovered new minerals and energy sources. Engineers built systems that improved every colony's life. Humans thrived, not because anyone told them they could, but because they had always believed they could. Captain Daniel received a priority signal from the Conquered. It was a direct request for help. An extragalactic swarm, biomechanical and relentless, had entered the outer rim. Conquered fleets were overwhelmed, their forces fractured. Systems that humans had once helped stabilize were failing. Daniel called a fleet meeting. "They need us," he said. "The galaxy that shunned us now comes to us for help. We do not act for gratitude, we act because it is necessary." Lily Turner checked the fleet's readiness. "Weapons are operational, fold drives are calibrated, ships are prepared for combat," Daniel nodded. "Then we move, we save them, but on our terms." The fleet entered the contested space. The extragalactic swarm moved with incredible speed and power. Conquered forces engaged, but their coordination was poor without human guidance. Ships were destroyed. Planets were damaged. Captain Daniel's fleet advanced quietly, efficiently. Humans used gravitational shear cannons and energy weapons adapted from decades of experimentation. Ships moved in precise formation, anticipating the swarm's movements. Every calculation, every maneuver was human-made, independent, and effective. The battle lasted days. Humans adapted faster than the swarm. Colonies provided additional energy and support. Fold drives allowed fleets to appear where needed, striking decisively and retreating before the swarm could react. On Earth, Olivia Grant and her council monitored the battle. Reports came in from colonies and fleets. Humans had saved conquered systems from total destruction. They had done it without orders, without guidance, and without permission. Governor Morgan shook her head. "They underestimated us for centuries, and now they rely on us." President Olivia Grant replied calmly, "It does not matter. We acted because it was necessary, not because they demanded it." Captain Daniel Ross sent a message to Earth after the swarm was defeated. Conquered fleets stabilized, systems restored. Humans led the operation. We acted to protect, but independently. Ethan read the message. Maya joined him. "They finally see it," Ethan said. "Humans are more than they expected. Humans do not bend. Humans do not falter. Humans act when needed and grow stronger every day." The conquered envoys appeared again, this time requesting a meeting. They were cautious, careful. They expected humans to negotiate membership, to accept their rules, to follow their guidance. Captain Daniel answered them simply. "We do not seek membership. We do not seek approval. We protect where it is necessary. We explore where it is possible. We thrive where we choose." On Earth, Olivia Grant prepared a formal response. "We do not need to justify ourselves. We act for humanity. We act for survival. That is all." Colonies continued to expand into uncharted systems. Children born in these colonies grew up fully independent. Scientists discovered new energy sources and materials. Engineers developed ships faster and stronger than anything the Conquered had. Humanity's knowledge and technology grew without limits. Captain Daniel led another expedition to systems beyond the galaxy's edge. They discovered planets rich with minerals, fertile land, and safe environments. Colonies were established quietly, efficiently, and fully independent. Ethan and Maya coordinated communications between all colonies. Quantum networks allowed instant contact. Resources were shared efficiently. Ships traveled safely through fold corridors. Humans no longer depended on the Conquered for anything. Noah Bennett visited several colonies. "We have done what no one thought possible," he said. "Humans thrive without the galaxy. Humans survive without approval." Maya smiled. "And that is the point. We are humans. We survive, adapt, and grow. We do not need validation." The Conquered realized the truth too late. Humans were stronger than they imagined. They had saved the galaxy without begging, without pleading, and without following orders. Humans had created a network of colonies, fleets, and technology entirely their own. Captain Daniel returned to Earth with his fleet. The people greeted them quietly. There was no celebration. There was only satisfaction, pride, and the knowledge that humans had achieved something remarkable. President Olivia Grant addressed the council. "We have shown the galaxy that humans are capable, independent, and strong. We were shunned. We were ignored, but we have grown beyond their reach and we will continue to grow. Governor Ava Morgan added, "We have protected the galaxy not for recognition, but because it was necessary. Humans act not for reward, but for survival and growth." Ethan and Maya walked together through the control center. "The galaxy finally understands," Ethan said. "Humans cannot be controlled, humans cannot be ignored," Maya nodded. "And we do not need them, we walk our path, we grow on our terms, that is enough." Captain Daniel led another mission to explore systems even further from known space. The fleet encountered planets, resources, and strange alien life forms. Every discovery was carefully studied. Humans did not report to the conquered. They explored for themselves, for humanity, for the future. On Earth, Ethan monitored all communications. Humans were connected across systems, colonies, and fleets. Every ship traveled safely, every colony thrived, every challenge was met. Humans had achieved what no one expected. Noah Bennett visited a new colony and observed children learning survival, engineering, and technology. Scientists tested new energy sources. Engineers built habitats. The colony was fully independent. "They grow faster than we ever imagined," he said. Ethan nodded. "And they will continue to grow. This is only the beginning." Captain Daniel's fleet sent a report back to Earth. "All colonies are operational. Exploration continues. Humans are independent and thriving." "We do not need the conquered, and we never did," Maya smiled at the report. "They thought they could shun us. They thought we would fail. They were wrong." Ethan looked at the stars. "We walked away unbothered, and we have grown beyond what they ever imagined. That is humanity." The galaxy had shunned them, but humans had not faltered. They had not begged. They had not complained. They walked away quietly, steadily, and unbothered. And as humans continued to explore, expand, and thrive, they proved one truth. The galaxy could try to ignore them, but it could not stop them. Humans would grow, adapt, and survive. They would build a future entirely their own. Captain Daniel Ross, Ethan Cole, Maya Brooks, Noah Bennett, Olivia Grant, and all of humanity looked out at the endless stars. Every colony, every fleet, every new discovery was a step toward a future humans controlled fully. Humans had been shunned. Humans had been ignored. Humans had walked away, unbothered and stronger than ever.